still hear me, Jody?
Yes, sir.
All right, my man. We are live.
Yes. What is up? Good morning, everybody. And before we kick things off, as always, please make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe.
100%. We got to make sure we do that. And let's also make sure our chat's working. Let's make sure our monetization is on. All that fun stuff, all the housekeeping issues. Yes. And of course, we need to talk a little bit about our sponsors. Supplement King, Portage La Prairie, as usual, and Western Survivor Beef Jerky.
Yes.
And we got live viewers in the chat already. I haven't seen the chat yet. I'm just turning everything on, switching our thumbnails around. So, Jody.
Yes, sir.
How have you been for a week?
You know, I've been pretty good. First of all, I should ask you, how do you feel? Because very impressive match over the weekend. Very impressive.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Now, for some reason, it is telling me, oh, never mind. There it is. Monetization is on. Yeah, the past weekend went really well. And one of the reasons I am so happy about that is because, you know, I need to make sure that everything stays together and I'm not having any kind of confidence issues at all going into my next match. So yes. Coming in here, Kyle's a great, big, strong guy. He is, one of the best super heavyweight up and coming guys in Ontario. He is, and he came in super confident. I mean, what else could I say? He came in believing he could win. And I told my wife, I told this to Kyle as well. I said, this is like this guy's, this is like a Rocky moment here. She's like, what do you mean? I said, this guy doesn't know he's supposed to lose.
Right.
He doesn't believe it. He's coming in here. And if you look at Billy Berg's video, which I found, pretty hilarious. He,
our friend Billy Berg.
Yeah. He posted a video of me setting up for the first match with Kyle, and Kyle winks at the camera like he's getting ready to just kick my ass.
Oh, I didn't see that version.
Yeah. And, when the ref said go, it was not the case, but good on Kyle. He got his eye opener he was looking for. And here we go. So
well, here, let me break things down that match for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm glad you were able to have that match. And once again, when I use this word tune-up, I don't want people to take that out of context, but you need a match like that to prepare yourself for the next one. Now, I'm not saying you're overlooking Kyle, but sometimes you need to go, okay, the last time you pulled left-handed wasn't that great of a day. That was back in Arm Wars, correct?
That is correct.
And you're like, okay, I didn't have a good performance on my left. I got injured on my right. I need to make sure all my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. So you need this match to prepare you for the next one, which is April 9th, correct?
That is correct.
Against one person named Michael Todd, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So with that being said, do people out there understand what's going on? Because you had your match, right, with Kyle, very, very strong guy. And those guys with those powerlifting and strongman backgrounds can be very tricky, because if for some reason, if your technique is not on point and you get into a power game, he might be able to get a sneak in a win on you, right? But you stayed everything tight, you're explosive on the go, which I like because that's some of the stuff you're going to need on April 9th. Now, with that being said, and we can get into this, whenever you want to, because your opponent has his match coming up with Robbie Topi this coming Saturday. I know all eyes are going to be on that.
I am definitely going to be watching that match so closely. Now, I don't know who I'm cheering for. So if Robbie wins, does that mean I got a better shot at beating Michael? If Michael wins, then I'm like, holy shit, like, how good is he?
I wish we lived in the same city, because I'd say, hey, Ryan, how about you and I get some popcorn and share a couple of beers and watch this event? Because we were both watching that match for the same reason. You have Michael Todd in April.
Yep.
I have Robbie Topi in June. So that alone goes, okay. And Robbie Topi is just stacking the deck with his matches because now check this out. And Robbie's been kind of quiet. He went to the Utah tournament, kind of mowed through everybody. But think about this. Next weekend, he has Michael Todd. These are all left-handed matches. So, I love left-handed matches as yourself. So he has Michael Todd, right? And that's what next weekend. April 23rd, that weekend, he has Paul Passmore. May 22nd, he has Christian Benny. And then he has me. Not that I should be able to be tossing that card, but yes, he has me on June 11th. So he's just stacking the deck one after the other, And I'm going to tell you right now, I do not plan on gaining a bunch of weight just for him.
Now, there is a scenario here where I end up facing Robbie a couple of months down the line here.
Yes.
If he just goes on a tear. And I can duplicate that by winning against Michael and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could see us lining up somewhere in the near future, especially with Cody's health being uncertain.
Right.
When I say health, I mean his arms, guys,
yes.
Nothing else. Yeah. So, it was a good start to what I'll call the 2022 season.
And like I said, it's just both of us have valid interest in this match. And I'm telling you right now, I'm like you. I don't know who. I actually did a show on these predictions last week. And when it came down to this match, I actually put 2 stars around it because I'm not sure who to pick either. I really don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Billy Berg, member for 11 months, Tip Jar, Southeast Smashers Arm Wrestling Club. He's all over this chat.
What's up, Bill? How you doing, buddy?
Scott McGinnis, Frustrator, Randy Hebert. Good morning, guys. 9 people watching already. Good to go. Now let's talk about the weekend. What did we see? What was good? What was the good, the bad, and the ugly? Because I didn't watch a lot of it. I did see other reviews, and I have a special announcement at the end of this show.
Ooh.
But I'll make you wait too. But tell me what you saw.
I saw Uncle John for the first time since I never saw any Arm Wars. The last one he went to, that's still kind of under wraps. So last time I saw Uncle John pull actual match was we went to Arm Wars in September, Reality Check. And when you see him live, it's like, okay, let me see how he stacks up against them. And they had some killers this past weekend. I'm talking about, and John pulled like 8 classes or something like that. He pulled the 98s, 220, 242, and 243 and over. So 8 classes left and right. And, he did not win his match versus Artem, but he kind of made up for it in the tournament. We're talking, if that guy pulls top 3 in the supers,
Yeah. And he pulled Artem right-handed, correct?
Yes.
Why wasn't that a left-handed match?
I think first of all, Artem was pulling Jason Merlot left-handed.
And what happened in the Merlot match?
Oh, Artem lost 3-0.
Okay. Merlot is pretty good.
Merlot went undefeated in his class too.
Okay.
By the way. So I think that kind of, and this is no, jab at Artem, but I think he might've got humbled against Merlot. Because that match was first before Uncle John and Artem pulled. So he might have got humbled. And then, not to say he wasn't taking things seriously, but I just think he was like, oh, shit, Jason is for real. And when he got to Uncle John, it was like, okay. And we all know, for all intents and purposes, John's right hand is not his go-to hand, right? So, and even I asked Uncle John he posted some clips this morning, everyone. And when you look at it, some of the guys he had with his fingers, he caught him like this. I'm thinking, well, just finish him. But he wanted to, punish him, bleed him out. Totally get that. But I'm thinking if I'm pulling 8 classes, I'm not going to sit there and just, grab somebody's fingers like that and just trying to drain them out. I'm trying to get this done as possible. And I don't mean push him off the pad, but just press down, be done with it. Because I'm sorry, when you got 30 plus matches, I don't have time to be posing or trying to drain people out. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I agree. Jumping back into the event I was at, there was actually like 10 super matches. But Big Ben Clausen, the guys in the chat are talking about him. He actually pulled Kyle right-handed, and Kyle overpowered him the first match, and Ben hung in there and then won all the next matches. So yeah, he's an up-and-coming guy out there and in the southeast of the province. So watch for that name.
It sounds like Ben just kind of made the adjustment, because we all know in super matches, the odd number matches are always the most important ones in my book. So if you're best of 5 or, best of 3, it's always the odd numbers, right? Because once match 1, you kind of feel each other out. But when you get that victory in match 1, your opponent has to play catch up.
Yeah.
He's the one that has to make the adjustment. So it becomes a mind game. Now you're chasing me. So, yeah, it just sounds like Ben kind of made the adjustment. So
that video, I'll be putting all these videos up individually from the last Saturday. But yeah, he made an adjustment, and I saw a lot of guys do that. And there was a bunch of matches where the guy that won the first round did not win the super match.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was Kyle's mind frame after all that? If he lost to you 3-0, lost to Ben 3-1, what was his mindset after that?
Working on speed, he's got a few things he needs to work on. One of the main one is kind of probably hit and speed, but also there was a stamina issue. His arm blew up after match 1.
Wow.
So there's some stuff going on there that he needs to correct.
That's part of the game. Welcome to arm wrestling, right?
Yeah. Sometimes the things you do to get strong and strongman don't translate over to this sport.
Right. And, bodybuilders, that kind of thing, where they're used to pushing the weight. We as arm wrestlers are actually pulling. So we're using different muscles, more chest for them to push, more lats to, drag and pull back. But at the same time, how many pullers are using wrist wraps? None, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I used to compete in bench press, and the guys could not believe that I would walk into a meet and I would bench 500 pounds with no wrist wraps. And they're like, that's crazy. But I mean, the only time I ever started using wrist wraps is when I started using wrist wraps, because all of a sudden I felt like I was reliant on them.
Right.
But, I had benched over 600 pounds without them.
Right. People like my biggest deadlift, nothing to shout about, but it was 435, right? Did that at home. I did a 410 deadlift in competition. But 2 things I did not use. I didn't use wrist wraps, and I didn't use the neutral grip. They were both overhand. It was none of this, right? It was both overhand. And I think people are like going, dude, do you actually lift that much with double overhand? I'm like, well, yeah, that's what, when you have an arm wrestling background, you're taught not to, cheat. So you got to kind of, you're doing this, basically, when you deadlift, your wrists are like that. And the fact that I can actually do that and come up with it, they're like impressed. And I know you can probably lift more if your wrists are like this. I get that. But I'm doing it this way because I still have that arm wrestling background, bopping around in my dome. So yeah, that's why I did it like that. And they're kind of impressed that I did it that way. And of course, the experts like saying, hey man, do you know you can lift more if you were to just change your grip? Yeah, I do. I just don't. So
that's something I used to do too. Is always my deadlift was almost a grip exercise because I would do double overhand.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Did you also know there was a Billie Jean King match? You know who Billie Jean King is, right?
Enlighten me.
So Billie Jean King, I want to say this took place in the 70s. She had an intergender tennis match with a guy.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we had a intergender match between Robert Kelly and Danielle Llewellyn, and the loser had to make the other one a sandwich. So it's a sexist kind of thing, and Robert Kelly ended up losing. It was either 3-1 or 3-0.
Oh man.
But what you need to know is Danielle is a formidable powerlifter. Like, she went and got top 3 at the Arnold in powerlifting, not in arm wrestling. So Robert kind of bit off more than he can chew, and it's all over the what used to be the Arm Wrestling Uncensored thread or post on Facebook, and I'm like, and I'm watching that. Even the one time, actually, my wife came down for 2 matches. She came down for the Aaron Yearsley David Hobbs match because I helped Aaron train for that, and then she also came in because she wanted to see, of course, girl power, got it. She wanted to come see her kick his butt, which she did, and she was happy the rest of the day. And I was like, dude, Robert, what the hell, man? You can't be going after talking trash to ladies and then getting smacked. So,
yeah, he should be thankful that he didn't have to pull somebody like Sarah or Gabby.
Oh,
because it would have been a mangling. But this,
yes,
this we used to have occasionally girls in our club that were good enough that we'd have these tournaments, and if no women showed up, they would jump into the appropriate weight class with the men. And I've seen guys like crying in the corner after they got beat by the women in their class.
Right.
I don't think I support crossing that line all that much.
It was a gag thing. It's like, okay, I think a lot of people want to see it to see if if Danielle could actually win.
But what the hell happens if she loses and then all of a sudden she's making him a sandwich? Like
it was, the whole thing was just like a gag. It got out of control. And it's like, all right, put your money where your mouth is, or put your sandwich where your mouth is, or whatever. But I honestly, I'm glad it's over now, and maybe this man versus woman thing could be done, because now you're just kind of putting arm wrestling back a few years when you do that kind of shit. Honestly, in my opinion,
the gimmicks have got to stop, man. The gimmicks have to stop.
Right.
We got to stop with the bullshit about bringing in the celebrities that are just a flash in the pan. Now Larry does not qualify for that anymore. He's taking the sport seriously. But I mean, Juji coming in wearing the stupid horse head and arm wrestling the beaver pumper at the bottom 8, or pretending to have a legitimate match against Mike Aiello in the World Arm Wrestling League.
Can we touch on that for like maybe 45 seconds?
Sure.
What bothered me most when and maybe the bottom 8 was a showcase, a circus, fine, whatever. But what bothered me about Juji is that when they brought him on to the Wall Finals against Aiello, I'm like going, okay, how many toes are you stepping on for the guys that probably deserve to be there? And yet, I understand if we get this guy on there, he's going to have a lot of views. He'll get our sport on it. What has he done since then? Has he even pulled since then?
He's in a weird legal battle with his former partner.
So there's that. You haven't done Jack since, in arm wrestling since then. I'd kick Juju's ass myself.
Well, lots of legit arm wrestlers that are massively underweight against him would kick his ass.
Right. I just think it's a slap in the guy's face who actually, at the time, there was no, Paul, or not Paul Lynn, but Paul Passmore. He was, before I think he broke his arm, but he should have been in that spot. He was working his way up. Corey West working his way up. Jason Merlot working his way up. Those guys like that. Robbie Burnett working his way up. Those are guys that actually, at that time, 2019, was kicking ass on the cusp of getting on WAL. And then you bring Juju in to leapfrog everybody just so he could be a sideshow. That irritates me, because I'm sorry. If you're an arm wrestler, then you arm wrestle. You don't bring in like fucking Evander Holyfield and all that other dumb shit or Jake Paul just because they got a big following. That bothers me, honestly.
Yeah, at the time it worked because it got cheap views, but it didn't last. I mean, the WAL's not doing anything at the moment,
right,
as far as producing events, and you have legitimate arm wrestling matches getting more and more popular, like the East versus West events, the King of the Table events. Jake Paul used to be a good example of that, but I think Jake Paul is actually turning into a legitimate fighter, kind of like Larry turned into a legitimate arm wrestler.
Yeah, if you stick with it, then okay, he stuck with it. But the flashing and plan stuff, no. But even Larry Wills, I love what he's doing for our sport. He just needs, and he's going to pull, the grip master. That, even then, I'm thinking, okay, Larry needs a win, because if he doesn't, I wonder how much he's going to stay in this sport. Khalid is a legit grip master. Like, okay, that's a guy you don't want to mess with.
Well, I mean, Adam's over there coaching him. He should be able to tell Larry what he needs to do to beat Khaled Jashel.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a pretty straightforward strategy to beat that guy.
Right.
Yes, his grip is super strong, but you can test him in a couple other ways pretty easily, I think.
Yes.
What else we got, Jody? What do we got from the past weekend? Didn't I see El Cesar pull somebody?
Not a super match, but I know Uncle John got a taste of that.
Uncle John got third in the super heavyweight division, apparently.
Yes, he ended up losing to Sean Latimer. I can't remember the guy that came in second, but Latimer was there. And of course, Uncle John's like, screw it. And I think people don't realize that Uncle John, I know people know his story, over 300 pounds once upon a time. Okay, super heavyweight. Now, when you shrink down to 198, well, guess what? Your hand doesn't shrink. So I know some people out there are kind of going, well, crap. I mean, I had one of my buddies that had a super match. He won. Aaron Yersey went out there and he ended up pulling John in the 220 class. And he told me his hand is unbelievable. I said, yeah, because he was a super heavyweight, which means, yeah, you can lose the weight, but the hand size doesn't shrink. So, yeah, you're going to be intimidated when you're at that 198, 220 level. So it's one of those deals, it's intimidating. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive, and I hope he keeps rolling, and he will.
Yes.
Hey, before we get into the rice bucket stuff, what do you think of Matt Mask's upcoming announcement? Like, that was just announced in the last couple of days here. He's got a ton of super matches. Like, we know about Rick Heidebrecht, we know about Tim, but now he's pulling Morozov and Sporong.
That's the next East versus West, correct?
Yeah, and he took a left-handed match.
Well, is he ready left-handed? Because I know he's not known for it.
He's not known for it, but it's not, when he's on, he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's not on, but he's pulling Morozov. So that's a tough order, man. Morozov is good and Sporong is good. Like, both of those guys are quite good.
When you get to a certain level in the sport, and we'll take, Robbie Topi, for example, and Matt Mass for another example, and you start stock loading your schedule, which means you're not going to see a lot of Matt Mask unless, hey, guys, I'm training, or, hey, Devin's with me for the next 4 or 5 days or whatnot. We're going to be training together, eating together, this, that, and the other. That's how you know it's serious. When guys are stock loading their schedule and it's one match after another, that's how you know it's real serious. And, let's take you, for example, if you want to count, your match this past weekend, fine, but you also have Michael Todd. You also have Corey West. And who knows, you may have another one down the road later in the year. But when you do that kind of stuff, it really lets everybody know, hey, I'm not messing around. I'm being real serious about this. Like I need to be nose to the grind. I may have time to do a, video here and there. Hopefully with you, we'll still do our Monday morning stuff. But I know, for example, I know for a fact that you're going to take these very seriously. And any person that stock loads their schedule like that, I'm telling you, it's amazing, because now, excuse my French, but shit's about to get real.
And then the training adjusts. Like, no, I finally get Devin's training philosophy.
What's that?
When he talks about never going to failure and always drawing his power from the practices.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what I'm hearing now is that he spends all the time in between the table recovering from the previous tear up that he did at the practice.
Right.
So for me, all this gym time I'm going to spend between last weekend and Michael Todd, it's all going to be based on recovering fully by the time I get to Michael. Because I pulled a ton of matches on the practice table, right arm as well, on Saturday.
Ooh, how that? I forgot to ask you about that. How'd that feel?
And I feel like I got run over by a school bus, and not in a bad way. It's
Oh,
good
okay.
pain. It's the good pain,
Oh, okay,
the
okay,
stuff
okay.
where you've been in the gym and you just feel like you got,
Right.
thrown off a building and, hit the ground hard, but you can still get up and walk away.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I felt really good right at it,
Good.
but everything is going towards recovery. There are a couple of planes where I need to adjust out of because my wrist is not, in certain positions I can get opened up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I pulled with all those guys like Kyle and Ben and all those guys that were, the up and coming strong guys. And I kind of felt in control.
Good.
So,
And training, I got a secret. I don't know. So it thought of when you brought up the fact that you understand Devin's philosophy of training, and I understand where you're coming from. And I thought of something, and let me get your thoughts on it. Because I know, like we'll say Todd Zilla, hey, I'm in the gym all the time. I may train once a month, and God forbid his once a month is with Dave Chafee. So there you go. Good luck, Chance. So, but when you're on the table, right? And like for me, like I'm on the table once a week. And that's what my training guys, I'm probably stronger than about 90% of them. There's a few guys that give me hell. And so I gotta dig deep, but like I let them go. I'm just catching. I'm getting on my power from practice too, right? And then it's like, okay, you kind of sore because you feel like you've been through a tournament, but now it's like it's a recovery time. So I kind of get where you're saying with that. So I had the tendonitis in my right arm, went to physical therapy. Now I'm about 95% back. Bad news is that now all that shit's been transferred to my left. Now I'm like, fuck. So I got to kind of like, okay, do the same thing, treatment wise on the right that I'm doing to my left now. So I mean, it's always the bicep shit. So I got to kind of do that, and I'll be ready by June. But still, I'm in trying to work stuff out. But I don't do a lot of heavy lifting because I want to be fresh as possible, and it's kind of hard to lift heavy when you're banged up. You know what I mean? So
precisely.
tell me, for you, now that this is all with Kyle, now that's all said and done, you got Michael next month. What does your format look like training wise, without giving away all your secrets?
Well, I've got 2 practices scheduled between now and then. One's this Wednesday, one's 2 weeks after this Wednesday.
Okay.
And I'm going to be in the gym every day. So when people think that when I say I need to be recovered, that doesn't mean I'm resting. It doesn't mean I'm sitting there. It is super important to keep blood going through all of these sore spots and rejuvenating yourself.
Yes.
So that is kind of where I get Devin's philosophy. And when he's talking about multiple training sessions a day, I'm going to start doing that. Like I'm going to have my main workout in the morning. I'm going to do something for hand, wrist, and in the evening, right up until the last week. And then I do nothing for a week, nothing at all.
Gotcha.
Just rest, make sure everything's feeling good. Nothing is super sore. Like when I pulled Kyle, I didn't feel a single pain until after the match was over and I spent a significant amount of time on the training table.
Gotcha. And like I said, for everybody watching out there, you got to find what philosophy works for you. I don't know. Devin's over here bench pressing and tricep pressing and all that kind of stuff. I don't think Devin's doing that. His stuff is constantly on the table. So it works for people like him. It works for people like John. They're constantly on the table. Whereas you get guys like, Michael Todd, always in the gym. Todd Hutchins, always in the gym. I guess you could put Dave Chafee in there. And, you could put yourself in there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you have to find what works best for you. And that's why I love this sport, because there is no one single way to train for the sport. If that was the case, then all you supers would be battling out and people like me have to find something else to do. So yes, I agree with that.
Well, that's like Devin. Devin is a genetic outlier. Like there's not a fast twitch muscle in that guy's whole body. And he trains to complement what he has. So if you think you're going to become Devin Larratt, if you aren't genetically halfway there, you're not going to get to be that guy. You have to take a different approach.
Yes. Then you could take 2 guys and it's a yin and yang, right? And we'll take 2 guys that are probably mirror images as far as size and height. You take Devin Larratt, you take Matt Mask. about the same height, right? Give or take, but you know that they're total opposites. You'll take Devin. Do I have enough power to catch your hit, Matt? Or you got Matt. Do I have enough explosive power to beat Devin on the go to the pad? Coin flip. We've seen it both. So,
Jody, can you carry the show for 2 minutes for me?
I can.
I gotta stop. I gotta go see what the heck is going on my main floor.
You probably got a package in the mail.
I probably do. Give me 2 seconds.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. All right, Chocolate Thunder's taking over. No need to fret. So again, we'll talk more about this. When you have guys stock loading their schedules with super matches, that's a lot of confidence those guys have. So when you have Matt Mass lining things up, he's not messing around. So when Devin was with Matt those 4 or 5 days, and Devin's like, yeah, I'm getting ready for Levon. Don't think for a second that Matt wasn't training for his matches too with Devin. They're exchanging information. I mean, hell, they're sitting together, eating dinner, eating all kind of meals, whatever, spending a lot of time. And I know for a fact they're exchanging information to help each other get ready for their particular matches. Same thing with hell, you look at Dave Chafee. He's getting ready for his match, right? Todd Hutchins getting ready for his upcoming match with Chance Shaw. So what do those guys do? They're getting together, training with each other. I think we're at a point now where this is the thing now. You have these big stars training together because they both have significant matches of their own. And when you do that kind of stuff, I think that's where we're at right now in the sport. Ryan, your thoughts? I just was telling the group out there, arm wrestlers, that when you have two significant pullers and they're getting ready for their own particular matches, hey, let's train together. So if you got Alex Kordeka and he's getting ready for, Chafee, and Chafee's like, I got to train with this guy. Hey, Todd, are you busy? Maybe we can, help each other out. Now, granted, their opponents are very, very opposite, but it's the training, it's the, exchanging information back and forth. That's where we're at right now, I think. And do you agree or disagree?
100%. Like, you got to find sparring partners that, mimic or can match power-wise the guy you're going against. I think it's important, and that's kind of where the tune-up match comes in as well, that we had kind of touched on earlier. Now, sometimes it's hard to do that.
Right.
But you take a guy like Krdetcha, what people don't know is that he has a crew of training partners that are kind of up-and-coming Polish arm wrestlers that are also quite strong. So there's a crop of super heavyweight guys, and he has that in place. It's not like he just needs to travel around finding people. He's got them.
Yes.
And we'll hear about those guys in the future.
And Todd doesn't live that far from Chafee, so he can just hop in the car, drive over to Erie, and next thing you know, they're going at it, and they're posting videos. And I'm sorry, I just get a kick out of that. I get a kick out of guys like Devin and Matt going at it, training together. I get a kick out of Toddzilla and Chafee training together. I just get a kick out of that. That might be weird on my end, but I see something bigger than that. I just see them getting ready for their own matches, but they're like, hey, because Todd knows, how many people Todd doesn't have a lot of training partners. Let's be real. He trains by himself. He's a man amongst himself. So when he goes to Dave Chafee to trains, his upcoming match is for real. So
I also have some insight. I'll answer one question in the chat. Someone asked if I've pulled Latimer. Yes, I have. I pulled him once left arm at the World Arm Wrestling League finals, and I beat him.
There you go.
Relatively quickly. And I wanted to mention the Devin Lair and Matt Mask training situation. So I had some insight given to me.
Ooh, let me get a sip of my coffee right quick.
Yeah. Somebody told me that the way they set up those practices.
Are you serious? Did you freeze on me like that? Wow, dude. Hey, Ryan, did you really cut out on us like that? Talk about the ultimate cliffhanger. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna hold this thing. So apparently there's some good stuff between Devin and Matt when they got together for those few days up in Red Deer. So while Ryan's freezing, interesting face you're making right now. I'd love to know what that insight is. I don't know. Maybe Ryan will tell us. He did, explain to us that his internet's been kind of wackadoo. So once again, no need to fear. Your boy Chocolate Thunder is here. So let's talk about something else, shall we? Okay. Michael Todd. Okay. Oh, it's just me now. Cool. This weekend, Michael Todd, his first ever Monster Factory pay-per-view is going to take place this Saturday. And on the card, of course, he's the main event, right? Why wouldn't he be? He's pulling Robbie Topi, right? Left-handed. And as I said on my show last week, I'm trying to figure out, what version are we going to get? Meaning that Todd, the monster, he's a lot different left-handed than he is right-handed. Hey, what's up, buddy?
And we're back.
Yes, I was just trying to tell the crew when you froze up because you left us on a cliffhanger. You said you had some insight, and all of a sudden you went, and I was like, really, dude? Straight cliffhanger.
Yeah, definitely cliffhanger. You can hear me okay now, though, right?
Yes. What we got? What were you going to say?
Maybe I should just stop talking at all and just make everyone wait. No, the way they set up those training sessions is like you saw how many guys were there, right?
Yes.
So there's like 30 guys there waiting to pull on Devin's arm.
Mm-hmm.
They set it up so that every single one of those guys pulled Devin Larratt before Matt Mask got to the table.
Oh, so Matt was the very last.
He was the guy at the end of the line. So when we were talking a little bit, I think I said it, Pradeep said it. He said that, he felt like if Devin was going to have a chance against Levon, he shouldn't have moved off center from Matt's hit. Well, there's a whole lot more to that story.
Yeah. Well,
and we're not talking about
last week.
We're not talking about half an hour at the table. We're talking about like a couple hours.
And sometimes you need that.
So
if Devin can maintain, that right. If he can maintain that area right here with his hand in the middle, he has a good chance.
Yeah. It's an interesting way to set up that training session, though. You take the strongest guy and you put him last. That's we do things the other way around. It's usually the strongest guy and then work our way through everyone else.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, that's I've never heard of that version before because it's kind of, flip-flop,
But I mean, it works. I mean, he's warming up, he's leveling up each time, and he's pre-exhausting himself on his way to the final boss.
There you go.
All right, my man, it is 11:40, and we are going to talk about the rice bucket.
I like it. I never bought into it, but since yes, there you go. I got mine in my garage. So
you want to see how old this is? Do you remember Muscle Juice?
Oh God.
From Ultimate Nutrition back in the day?
Yes, yes.
I have had this bucket. I'm going to murder my dogs in about 30 seconds here.
I love my rice bucket. I'm just getting into it. I'm like week 2 into it now. And I'm telling you, I mean, and here's the weird thing. I'm sitting up there in my garage with my rice bucket. I'm doing the do and stuff. And the first thing I did was watch some Michael Todd, Matt Mask, and Marcel Barboza rice bucket videos. And then after watching all those, then I got to a point where I don't watch all the Armwrestling stuff that Neil's been putting up as I'm doing the rice bucket. Then I might throw in some UAWL doing the rice bucket. So your hand blows up like a balloon. It's like someone stuck a bike pump in here and just went to town on it, and it blows up. But I'm only 2 weeks into it. I want to know another 2 more weeks, and I'm doing it 3 times a week. And I want to see by the end of this month where I am as far as hand, so I got a decent sized hand, but I want to know where with my teammates, where does that lead to in another, 2 more weeks?
I've always used the rice bucket as a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
But I've used it a lot, like over the years. This bucket of rice has genetic material from, 30 powerful arm wrestlers over the past 15, 20 years. It's even had a squirrel that was locked in my garage at one point eating out of it. Oh yeah. I was finding these like little turds all around my rice bucket. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I heard squeaking one day and I went and found this squirrel that was eating out of my rice bucket.
Did you have a lid on it?
No lid on it, but it was sealed up. But I trained in a garage, so I had the big door open. And I guess when I wasn't looking, the squirrel got in there and he couldn't get out.
Ah,
Well, why would he need to? He had his rice there to eat all the time.
yeah,
So
he was living life.
eventually I captured him and let him out, but he was in my rice bucket. So there's probably a combination of squirrel shit, genetic material from 30 arm wrestlers, and all kinds of other weird things in there. So
That's the secret power.
that's the secret power. And if I ever had to cook this rice, I wouldn't be the one that would try it first. That's for sure.
Well, I told my wife, hey, because she was like, "Ooh, we got brown rice." I'm like, "Pump the brakes here, sister. This is working out. Everyone's going to have their nasty, filthy hands in this thing. So do not think that, we're going to have brown rice with broccoli and beef. That's not going to happen." So, but I will say this, I am liking it. I wish I would have done it sooner, but there's some things I'm kind of hesitant to try. That was one of them. So I'm thinking, is this really, what's all the rave about it? When I finally, said, you know what? I was actually at Walmart the day I got it because I was gonna get some sandpaper and or actually no grip tape for my PVC pipe for my wrist rollers, right? And I'm just walking down. I'm like going. I stopped for a second. I'm like going, ooh, 5-gallon rice bucket. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Why not? Grabbed it, paid for it, went home. Took me, man, it was hard getting that thing off, but finally got the lid off. I actually had to use a flathead and a screwdriver just to pop it, just to get the lid off. But when I finally done that, I'm start going to town and stuff. And then I realized I got so deep and I was just doing my due. And all of a sudden I got rice all over the ground. So I'm thinking, all right, so it's pretty high. I should probably eliminate some of that so it's not all over the place. So I think I might do that. So, but I enjoy it.
It's a great exercise. You can go to fatigue pretty quickly and then just withdraw your hand as you're going. So you can actually, get some more reps in there as you're pulling your hand out.
Now for me, I like to, because I really want to strengthen this right here, the little thumb pad. So I will grab it and I'll just sit there and do that over and over again. I do that. I do the twist, I kind of do this, but I'm at the very top because you go too deep and try to do that, nothing's going to move. So I kind of do it shallowly, but I will say, then I also, do that with the rice bucket, just the bottom 3 fingers. But I enjoy it. I like it. Like I said, I don't know why I never tried it before. I was kind of hesitant, but you're also talking to a guy who still believes in hand grippers in this sport. So,
and you know what? I was asked, I'm going to do another video on hand grippers because I condemned them at one point, but I think they do have a place if done properly. So I'm going to do a whole new video on grippers, but I need to find my old ones that are really light so I can show how I would do them and make it work properly.
I'm trying to think, is my hand gripper upstairs? Is it up here or is it down in it might be downstairs, but the one I use, no, it's downstairs. But the one I use is the one you get like out of Big Five or something like that.
Yeah.
With the little adjuster in the front. I did an Instagram video on it the other day. But yes, people, and I'm gonna say this one last time because I'm the one that's always, standing behind the hand grippers. I understand when the handle's at the bottom, you have to squeeze them. And yes, I understand. See how my wrist is? You squeeze them. I get that. Totally get that. I got handles I can work with too. That doesn't bend my wrist back. Now, for all the naysayers like Artem Turanenko, Mad Mask, Todd Hutchings, here's the deal, because they're like anti-grippers. However, flip them upside down, because now the handles are up top, right? And when they're up top and they're light, I can do that now. And if you look, my wrist is not backwards. It's like this, and I'm going like that, right? I'm just working this part. Or I can put it the other way. Now I'm just doing this, working a thumb pad. But again, look how my wrist is, right? Yeah. So, or if I want to work on my low hand top row technique, I'll have my wrist dump like this. And again, I'm just squeezing the bottom of it just like that, right? So there is something, once again, my wrist is not dumped, or I'm sorry, my wrist is not backwards. It's like this. So Yes, that's my favorite gripper because I can do so much stuff with it and I still get shit for it. It's okay though.
Yeah, I have the old school Captain of Crush grippers, and I actually worked my way up to the closing the number 3. Did not make it to number 4 because number 4 is insane. Like there's still only a small handful of guys in the whole planet that have ever done it.
Did Derek Smith actually? I think he did get the 3.5.
Did he? That's
I think
impressive.
So. I think that was like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
He actually did it on his channel live.
That's impressive.
Yes. So there is something to be said about that, where hell, if you really want to contain somebody, if you can squeeze that, you can contain that. No one's coming out of your hand.
Yeah. All strength is good strength.
Thank you. That should be a t-shirt. Please, someone make a t-shirt. All strength is good strength. Because even Todd Hutchings will say, yeah, fine. I'll beat you like this. Cool. Well, are you closing your hand gripper? Is your wrist like that? Right?
Yeah.
But remember that, folks.
Sure. Now, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I have seen Pradeep take a whole bunch of shit lately. Just comments about people saying, are you actually an arm wrestler? Do you know what you're talking about? Now, what is your opinion on somebody coming into the sport purely as a fan and then making a well-established YouTube channel that just talks about arm wrestling from a perspective of reporting news, giving opinions, and interviews? He does it all, but without ever really engaging in a high level of the sport. Is it necessary to be somewhat of an arm wrestling athlete to be do what he's doing? What do you think?
Not all the time. I'll use this theory. In the States, we have sports analysts. You have Stephen A. Smith, never played in the NBA, but he knows his stuff, right?
Doesn't know shit about MMA, but he knows basketball.
Right. You see what I'm saying? Like he knows his stuff. So why would you sit there and crack on a guy just because he's never been on the table? If he knows his stuff, he knows his stuff. That just tells me the guy
that Bob Costas should be a legit basketball player. I mean, come on.
There you go. He knows his stuff. So why would you sit there and honestly, Pradeep, he can turn into a arm wrestling historian because he knows his stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why people think like that. Like, yeah, it does help I've been through the battles before and, my years and experience, I get all that. And it does help because there's some inside things that those guys know that the people on the outside will probably never know. But if you're spending that much time making blogs and all that kind of stuff, and it tells me that he's actually invested in our sport. He's actually watching footage. He's breaking it down. I'm glad he's doing that. I don't know why he gets a lot of flack for that. I really don't.
And you'll notice a couple of things. Number one, like he is not usually criticized by people that are established elite athletes. It's other fans that are critical of him.
That's the trolls, though.
Trolls. Plus, I mean, he might be the smartest non-arm wrestling commentator or what do you call him? Critic, reporter that has never really achieved a high level in the sport himself.
It's almost like who's the MMA broadcaster that does the interviews? Awani, is that his name?
Ariel Helwani. Yeah, he's never.
Yes.
Yeah,
has he ever gotten to the cage before?
Nope.
And look at his knowledge. You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be a expert in that sport and participate to know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
It always helps to have him as play-by-play and have somebody like DC, Daniel Cormier, as a color commentator. That's an awesome team because now you got two guys, one who actually did the stuff and one who sees it from the outside. You put them together, there you go. You got magic, right?
Yeah. 100%. And that being said, my big announcement.
Yes, let's go.
Is that Pradeep's coming on with us next week.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yes. You made my day. Yes, you made my day.
Yeah, we lined it up last night and he started asking me about it. And I said, yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Hey, when we get off here, you got to post that on Instagram. You got to post that on Facebook because I'm telling you right now, Anybody watching out there, be sure to tune in next Monday morning and tell your friends, tell the whole world, because not only will we have him on the air, but this will be off the heels of Monster Michael Todd's pay-per-view. So we'll have all kind of shit next Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and I'm
that's
sure
awesome.
he'll have I want to get his insight too, because, you know, speaking to him from that standpoint, it's like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Good job, Ryan.
It
Good job.
really is. And, you know, I've been a supporter of him since the time he started, before he even had monetization. I thought, oh, this is different, man. I like this.
Yes.
And yeah, it's been good.
Well, the problem is we live in a society now where you get these new arm wrestlers, and not all you new guys, so don't be jumping on me, but a lot of new arm wrestlers, they only think Devin, John, Michael Todd, Hutchings, and that's it. I think like it started way before that. And I think, you know, some of those guys that got into the arm wrestling uncensored posts and stuff, all those trolls there, I think, you know, that's all the ones that are throwing shade at Pradeem, because it's like, you guys, you have no idea what the hell is going on. I bet you over half of those guys that's in there probably have no idea what's the Velcro strap, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, give me a fucking break, you know, like seriously, have no idea. Hey, what's the arm wrestling message board? Northeast arm wrestling message board. Y'all remember that? Yeah, of course you don't, right?
Yeah, man.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to know, Ryan, you know, tell everybody how the Mike Gould was back in the day, was the premier event in Canada back in the day. That was almost big as nationals in some years, you know?
It was the top professional arm wrestling tournament consistently for, you know, handful of years, and it was the one everyone went to. I only went once in my whole career, and I have regrets over that. But you know the problem with the Mike Gould Classic that I had?
What's that?
It was always on the same weekend as my wife's birthday.
Well,
now it's my ex-wife now, so in hindsight, I probably could have went.
Well, damn. And I always wondered, like, I understand sometimes you do stuff for a long period of time and like you may experience burnout, or hey, I just can't do it anymore, financial, whatever the case may be. I wish it would come back. But with Canada and their restrictions, you probably won't see it anytime soon. But I mean, hell, are you aware who Anthony Leterio is?
Yes.
So now, did you see his big announcement?
I did not.
He's packing up. Like, the PAF is like, yeah. So basically, if you're a title belt holder in the PAF, those belts are yours to keep now.
Oh, shit.
Unless you had something scheduled for the remainder of the year, those belts are yours to keep. So he decided that, you know what, I'm just going to stay local now. I'm not going to go all over like I did. Not that he ever came out west, but he decided to, hey, as far as Texas is going, Sarah McKinney, it's all yours. Arkansas, he said, Rush Schrader, it's all yours. I don't think Rush actually agreed upon that, but he's like, hey, I'm just going to stay in Florida. When you're a promoter, and you do these events, a lot more often times than not, sometimes these promoters are coming out of pocket, everybody. So at some point, am I going to see an investment back on that? We'll take Robert Drink, UAL, you know, have some kick-ass events. And eventually, he probably saw the light at the end of the tunnel and said, you know what? I was in it for a little bit, and then it probably didn't make sense for him to keep doing it. You know, I don't know if he has a bottomless pit of money, but at the time, he was giving out all kind of crazy money, and everybody wanted to join on that. Then when he went done, you know, all right, now what? Now what? Oh, here comes Steve Capital and WAL, you know, and then, but hopefully it comes back. So,
yeah. Hey, let me tell you something about Robert Drank. I touched base with him a couple of weeks ago.
Ooh, what's he up to?
He was on. Okay, so Robert Drank is good friends with Tarek El Moussa. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
There's a TV show called Flip or Flop.
Oh, okay. I know this show. Yeah.
So Tarek is the guy. Christina is his now ex-wife. And then Tarek got married to one of the girls that's on Selling Sunset. You know that show?
Yes, Small World.
So Drank was actually on an episode of Selling Sunset. He was on an episode of Flip or Flop, but then he was like just recently, like within the last year, he was on an episode of Selling Sunset where they kind of made him out to look like a bit of a, they didn't do him any favors. We'll put it that way.
Wow.
So he told the real story, and I reached out to him. He's like, "Hey Ryan, good to hear from you. How's things in Canada?" And we chatted a little bit, but he looks like he's doing very well.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that was the league that ignited this whole arm wrestling the way we know it now. It all started with UAL. And
It drew me
everybody
back in, man. It drew me back in. And yeah, it was crazy because he gave away UAL 8. They had that car that they gave away. A Canadian
that was
guy
a crazy event. That was probably one of the best UALs. Not that I went there, but just I heard and saw footage, and everybody had the colored jerseys that represented your actual weight class. And hell, you talk about it. Your class had Lupke's and Brzezinski and Todd and Cataract and Matt. Dude, it was like, you kidding me? Like,
it was crazy that the talent in those classes. And but I mean, Robert treated you well. Like I'm grateful to him. When I went to the final UAL event where he was running it, it was actually the Mike Gould Classic.
That was number 9, right? Or number I'm sorry, 9. It was UAL 9, but it was the event where you had Lupke's versus Mike Gould, RVJ versus Brzezinski for the belt. No, RVJ versus Alan Ford, I believe.
Yeah.
You had John Brzezinski versus Matt Mask.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Brzezinski versus Mask, and Mike Gould versus Richard Lupke's.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember that one.
And Mike Gould won that match.
Oh yeah.
But people don't give Mike Gould enough credit for how good he was and probably still is.
Where is Earl Wilson? Good Lord.
Earl's still training. Like you see him showing up at practices and kind of in the background of some of Devin's videos.
Yeah.
And it'd be crazy to see another comeback. But nice. Well, Jody, we've been going an hour, my man. So we should probably put a bow on this one and save some for next week. But
we'll have lots to talk about. So y'all better keep up next Monday.
Yeah.
Special guest too. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was a good show. Thanks for everyone coming to watch. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming on again, Jody.
Hey, thanks a lot, my friend. We'll see you next week, everybody. Stay safe.
And if you haven't already done it, go and hit subscribe and get into the video description here for Jody's channel and hit subscribe on his channel as well.
Please and thank you. All right, Ryan, enjoy your day, man. We'll see you.